Welcome to PeerPrepUPSC weekend revision session. The first topic is about Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Recently, Government of India celebrated his 125th birth. Let's get some insights about him. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee was born on July 6, 1901 in Calcutta and died on 23 June 1953 in Jammu and Kashmir. He is a politician, educationist, barrister and an academician. His achievements are: he is the youngest Vice Chancellor of universities in Bengal. He supported educational reforms. He worked as Finance Minister of Bengal Province during 1938 to 1941. He is also a part of Constituent Assembly. He is the first Minister of Industry and Supply during Nehru government. Due to opinion differences during Nehru-Likayat Pact, he started Bharatiya Janasangh, which is ideological predecessor to BJP. He died in police detention due to heart attack during protests against special status of Jammu and Kashmir. Let's solve a question about him. Consider the following statements about Mr. X. Mr. X was born on 6 July 1901 and was a distinguished educationist, lawyer, politician. He served as India's first Minister of Industry and Supply in independent India's first Union Cabinet. In 1951, he founded the Bharatiya Janasangh, which later became the ideological predecessor of the BJP. He opposed the special status of Jammu and Kashmir, entered the state without a permit in 1953 and died in custody. Who is Mr. X? We know the answer. He is none other than Shyam Prasad Mukherjee. Let's go to the next topic. BRICS Anti-Drug Summit in Guwahati, 6 to 7 July 2026. It is hosted by Narcotics Control Bureau under Ministry of Home Affairs. Let's see some anti-drug global framework. Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs. It limited the use of narcotic drugs to medical purposes. Convention on Psychotropic Substances. UN Convention Against Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances. India is signatory to this. Let's see some India's domestic framework. India established Narcotics, Drugs, Psychotropic Substances Act, and it also established an agency, Narcotics Control Bureau. Why India needs this framework? India is between Golden Crescent and Golden Triangle, where opium, heroin and methamphetamine like drugs are illegally trafficked. So it is vulnerable to drug trafficking. New psychotropic substances are difficult to regulate, doesn't cover under present laws. They are easily manufactured synthetic drugs just made with small chemical changes. They operate across borders and the transactions are through cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Monero. They are crossing borders through maritime drug trafficking in vessels, cargo containers, ships, etc. How BRICS can combat this? BRICS has one of the largest world population. It has major ports and most of the global trade networks. The three pillars of BRICS are political and security cooperation, economic and financial collaboration, where NDB was established, and cultural and people-to-people exchange. Through intelligence sharing, joint investigations, capacity building, BRICS can restrict the drug trafficking. India's initiatives are Manas Helpline for reporting and addressing drug-related issues under Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, NCOD, Narco Coordination Center for Interagency Coordination, Financial Intelligence, Money Laundering Tracking linked through agencies such as FIU India. Let's see more about FIU India. FIU India got Becca 2025 award for its financial intelligence. It was an Indian national agency which was established under Preventive Money Laundering Act 2002 to combat money laundering and terror financing. Edmund Group gives this Becca award, which is an informal global network of FIUs. How this FIU India works. Banks and financial institutions submit suspicious transaction records to FIU India for analysis. After analysis, it provides the evidence to enforcement agencies like ED, DRI, IT, police, etc. for further investigation. Let's see a similar organization, FATF, which was established by G7 to combat money laundering, terror financing. It has grey and blacklist. India is member since 2010. North Korea, Iran, Myanmar are recently under blacklist. FATF is Financial Action Task Force. Let's solve a question on them. Consider the following statements. The BRICS Anti-Drug Working Group aims to strengthen cooperation among member countries in combating drug trafficking, particularly growing challenge of synthetic and drugs precursor chemicals. It shows international security cooperation. The initiative reflects BRICS expanding focus on non-traditional security issues in addition to its economic and financial agenda. The above statements have been associated with which of the following? Political and security cooperation as one of the three pillars of BRICS. We know the first pillar is political and security cooperation, and anti-drug framework needs this cooperation. Collective efforts to address transnational organized crime through international cooperation. To reduce maritime drug trafficking, international cooperation is required. Select the answer using code given below. We know obviously the both 1 and 2 are correct. With reference to Financial Intelligence Unit India, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act and the Edmund Group, consider the following statements. FIU India is the national agency responsible for receiving, analyzing and disseminating information related to suspicious financial transactions for combating money laundering and terror financing. The Edmund Group is a treaty-based intergovernmental organization established under UN to enforce anti-money laundering standards across member countries. The Best Edmund Group Case Award (BECA) recognizes exemplary use of financial intelligence and effective domestic as well as international cooperation in combating money laundering and terror financing. Every member of Edmund Group is automatically a member of Financial Action Task Force. Let's see the first statement. FIU India is the national agency responsible for receiving, analyzing, disseminating information related to suspicious financial transactions for money laundering and terror financing. We know obviously this is true. The Edmund Group is treaty-based intergovernmental organization, which is false. It is informal grouping. The Best Edmund Case Award (BECA) is given for FIU India for 2025. Every member of Edmund Group is automatically a member of FATF, which is false. FATF is established by G7. Which of the above following statements are correct? We know for a fact that both 1 and 3 are correct. Let's go to the next topic. Indo-Pacific Strategy of India. India's vision is for free, open, inclusive, rules-based Indo-Pacific. Respect for international law UNCLOS. Asian centrality, peaceful settlement of disputes, freedom of navigation and overflight, maritime security and disaster resilience. Maritime security and disaster resilience. The problems are more influence of China and US in the Indo-Pacific, security concerns, more dependence on few countries for critical items, no equality for all countries, South China Sea and East China Sea disputes. What are Indo-Pacific initiatives India has joined? Quad, Asian, IOPA, Sagar. 60% of global maritime trade, oil and gas shipments was done in Indo-Pacific routes. The key choke points are Malacca Strait, Hormuz Strait, Lombok Strait, Mabel-Manteb Strait. Let's see about Quad. Quad consists of India, Japan, Australia and US. It was established in 2007 by PM of Japan and it was dormant for 10 years and revived in 2017. It is an informal grouping, no military alliances, decisions are based on consensus and no binding treaties. It was established to strengthen maritime security, diversify supply chains and critical technologies. The annual Malabar exercise was done by Quad groupings. The initiatives of Quad are they work on climate, critical and emerging technologies, cyber security challenges, infrastructure, space, and other initiatives like Indo-Pacific Partnership for Maritime Domain Awareness, STEM fellowships, counter-terrorism, etc. India hosted 13th Asian India Trade in Goods Agreement to strengthen and diversify supply chains. Let's remember a point here. India is not part of Asian groupings. In East Asian Summit, India gave its initiative IOPI Indian Ocean Pacific Initiative. In East Asian Summit, India gave its initiative Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative under Sagar program in Bangkok. It is a non-treaty based voluntary initiative. The 7 pillars of IPOA and lead countries: maritime security and disaster risk management and reduction by India, maritime ecology by Australia, resources by France and Indonesia, trade connectivity and maritime transport by Japan. Spain and Norway joined the IPOA. Spain and Norway joined the IPOA, expanding India's maritime partnership to European countries in 2026. With reference to India's bilateral ties, the Indo-Pacific Policy and Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, consider the following statements. India's Indo-Pacific vision is based on principles of a free, open, inclusive, rules-based maritime order. True. Quad is a formal military alliance. False. Quad is an informal grouping and non-treaty based. So this is false. India's partnerships with Japan, Australia and US strengthen its Indo-Pacific strategy through cooperation in maritime security, critical technologies and resilient supply chains, which is true. Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative was announced by India at East Asia Summit in Bangkok in 2019. We know this is voluntary based grouping. Norway and Spain recently joined. So which of the following statements are correct? The 1, 3, 4 are correct. Let's see the next topic. Lions' second home. The Asiatic lions in India are present in Gir National Park, Gujarat. Their IUCN status is endangered and CITES status belongs to Appendix 1. The need to relocate to conserve them as a single place can make them extinct with diseases, forest fires, natural calamities, epidemics, etc. Wildlife Institute of India suggested Kuno National Park as second location due to its large prey base. In 2013, Supreme Court has also ordered that the lions should be shifted to the second location. Gujarat government refused and made Bardoli Sanctuary as lion's second home, which is 100 kilometers in distance to Gir National Park. Academicians said that they are geographically too close to prevent them from extinction during calamities. Now, African cheetah reintroduction is taking place in Kuno National Park. Let's solve a question on this. Consider the following statements. The proposal to establish a second wild population of Asiatic lions outside the Gir landscape is based on the principle of reducing the extinction risk associated with maintaining a single wild population, which is true. Kuno National Park was selected after ecological assessments found it suitable in terms of habitat, prey availability and long-term conservation potential. True. The translocation of Asiatic lions is considered a measure to strengthen the long-term conservation of species through landscape level management, which is also true. The above statements have been associated with which of the following? In situ conservation and species recovery planning. Let's see some things about in situ and ex situ. Conservation, two types: in situ, ex situ. In situ conservation involves protecting in natural habitats. Example: national parks, biosphere reserves, etc. Ex situ is protecting them through captive breeding. Example: zoo, seed banks, etc. So, in situ conservation, species recovery planning, which is true, they are in their natural habitat. Ex situ conservation through captive breeding programs, which is false. Landscape based wildlife management and population viability, which is true, to prevent them from extinction. Select the answer using the code below. We obviously know the 1 and 3 only are the options. Let's go to the next topic, DPDP Act. Digital Personal Data Protection Act. It was launched in phases. The first right to privacy was established under Article 21 by the Supreme Court in K.S. Puttaswamy case. This is to protect identity thefts, strengthen cybersecurity. This act allows certain legitimate processes without consent. This ensures accountability, transparency in the era of digitalization. Before this, digital information is functioned under IT Act 2000. There is a note to reminder, not all personal data is equal to sensitive personal data. Let's solve a question on this. With reference to the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 and digital privacy in India, consider the following statement. Every personal data is necessarily sensitive personal data, which is false. Under the Act, consent is the only lawful ground for processing personal data. That is also false. Consent is not required for some legal procedures. Effective protection of digital privacy requires legal safeguards in addition to the technological measures, which is true. Which of the following statements given above is or are correct? The third one is only the correct option. Let's go to the next topic, UNSC election. India is contesting as non-permanent member in UNSC 2026 to 28. The term is for 2 years and it is not eligible for immediate re-election. UNSC consists of 10 non-permanent and 5 permanent members. UNSC maintains international peace and security. 5 permanent members has veto only in substantive matters like investigating disputes, applying economic sanctions, but not in procedural matters. Article 108 of UN Charter contains for amendment 2/3 majority in UN General Assembly and 2/3 ratification by 9 countries including all P5 for amendment from UNSC. UNSC headquarters is in New York. Only UN body with authority to make binding solutions, apply sanctions and manages crises involving civil wars, terrorism, threats of military aggression. Let's solve a question about this. Let's go to the next topic about Narmada River Water Agreement. It was signed by 4 states, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Maharashtra. Article 262 of the Constitution gives Parliament power to provide laws to adjudicate any interstate water disputes. Courts does not have any jurisdiction over these disputes. River Water Boards Act 1956, Interstate Water Disputes Act 1956 are the laws that was made by the Parliament. Interstate Water Disputes Act gives permissions to ad hoc tribunals to give dispute settlements which are binding and equivalent to the degree of the Supreme Court. Narmada Water Dispute Tribunal was established in 1969 and Narmada Water Dispute Tribunal Award was given in 1979 to implement Sardar Sarovar Dam water distribution. Narmada River emerges from Amarkantak Plateau and ends into Arabia Sea. Let's solve a question on this. With reference to the recent Narmada Water Agreement, consider the following statements. The agreement signed by Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Rajasthan seeks to resolve long pending issues arising from the Narmada Water Disputes Tribunal Award, reflecting the principle of cooperative federalism, which is true. Article 262 of the Constitution empowers Parliament to provide for the adjudication of the interstate river water disputes, and the Interstate Water Disputes Act 1956 provides the statutory framework for such adjudication, which is also true. Narmada River originates from Western Ghats, flows eastward and drains into the Bay of Bengal, which is false. It originates from Amarkantak Plateau and drains into Arabian Sea. So the correct option is 1 and 2. Let's go to the next topic. Recently, UDICE Plus report shows that school dropouts have been decreased from 2.3% to 1.8% in the primary stage and 8.2% to 7.0% in the secondary stage. The reasons for this are 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, which made Article 21A right to education compulsory for 6 to 14 years, and Article 51A fundamental duty of parents to provide education to children of 6 to 14 years. Schemes to strengthen education. Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan 2.0, Midday Meal Scheme or Poshan Scheme, Right to Education Act 2009, Nipun Mission Bharat Ways, where foundational learning numeracy was checked for grade 3 students, PM Shri Schools, Kasturba Schools with female residential facilities, financial aid by the government, PM E-Vidya Diksha, which is online platform for education, pupil teacher ratio has been increased. Facilities like electricity, water, toilet infrastructures have been increased. Due to financial aid, more children are joining aided or private schools than government schools. The challenges are still over 1 lakh schools are with single teacher. There is no quality education for adolescents. There are disparities in learning outcomes. Let's solve a question on this. With reference to the recently released UDICE Plus 2025 to 26 report on government initiatives to improve school retention, consider the following statements. The dropout rate at the participatory stage declined from 2.3 in 2024-25 to 1.8 in 2025-26, reflecting progress towards the objectives of Samagra Shiksha, which aims to improve access, equity and retention in school education, which is true. The dropout rate at the secondary stage declined from 8.2 to 7.0 on the PM Poshan scheme by providing nutritious cooked meals contributes to the improving enrollment and attention and retention among school children, which is also true. At the latest UDICE Plus report shows a decline in school dropout rates. The Right to Education Act 2009 has now achieved 100% retention of children in 6 to 14 years age group across all states and union territories, which is false. There is still no 100% retention. There are still dropout percentages exist. Which of the following statements are correct? Obviously 1 and 2 are correct. Recently, Ministry of Rural Development under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihood Mission launched eSaras platform with guidance of MIghty, which helps SHGs, women entrepreneurs, FPOs to sell products directly through digital commerce without any middlemen. 8.9 crore SHGs have been enrolled and 1400 plus rural products are trading across the platform. ONDC, Umang and digital payments and logistics have been integrated to this portal. This helps to gain stable income to rural women. Let's solve a question about this. With reference to the following digital platforms or portals, which one is specifically designed for an e-commerce marketplace for products made by self-help groups under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihood Mission? We already know the answer is eSaras, but let's discuss the options. GEM, Government E-Marketplace. It is an online platform for public procurement of common used goods and services by various government departments and PSUs. ONDC is a private non-profit initiative aimed at promoting open networks for all aspects of exchange of goods and services over digital and electronic networks. PM Gati Shakti is for logistics infrastructure. Thank you. With reference to the United Nations Security Council and India's recent campaign for a non-permanent seat, consider the following statements. India's candidature for the 2028-29 non-permanent seat requires election by the United Nations General Assembly. A country elected as non-permanent member of UNSC is not eligible for immediate re-election after completing its 2-year term, which is true. The veto power of the permanent members applies only to substantive decisions of the Security Council and not to the procedural matters, which is true. Any amendment of the UN Charter concerning the composition of the Security Council requires ratification by at least 2/3 of the UN member states, including all 5 permanent members, which is also true. Which of the statements given above are correct? Obviously, all the options are correct.